Our healthcare guy on the Hill, if I can put it like that, is Senator Mike Braun, Indiana Republican, and he joins us now. Mr. Senator, you know, trying to get rid of Obamacare completely, you got to replace it. What is the GOP's replacement plan for Obamacare?
That's the big question. I was so happy yesterday that, of course, the president was exuberant, the Mueller report's behind him, and he can't, right at the tail end of the luncheon, said, we're going to own health care. That's what I've spent my recent career on in terms of trying to get the industry to get with it and be competitive. But we got to be careful because pre-existing conditions, no cap on coverage, and even having your kids on the plan until they're 26 years old, that's part of what Hoosiers and Americans expect. It's the healthcare industry's job, especially health insurance, to get that done. So I challenge the industry to come up with these solutions. Myself and a few other senators that know something about it are going to start prodding them with transparency bills. Bills are going to lower the price of drugs, introduce generics to this market faster. But they should not need to be force-fed. The Democrats, ironically, own the issue, promise Medicare for all, and if we're not careful, that might end up. It would be our fault and the industry's fault if that occurs.
Sir, you're a very successful businessman in your private life before you went into politics. You understand clearly the damage that lawyers can do to any business. Is there any chance that tort reform, getting the lawyers out, could be part of the healthcare reform for the GOP?
Great question, because it's at the time of the game that we need to throw the kitchen sink at this problem. All tools, tort reform, being able to buy insurance across state lines, associations and pooling, but mostly transparency. Markets work, Stu, when they're competitive and transparent. Consumers do the heavy lifting. The whole system's been devised to be cloaked behind these third-party agreements, not ever asking the question, when you get a health care service, how much does it cost? That's got to change. I and a few other senators that know something about it are going to keep this out there as a hot item, and I hope this is a time when we do own the issue, because if not, the healthcare industry will have one business partner, the federal government, if we don't get with it.
Just a few minutes from now, some Democrats are going to announce a new special committee to deal with climate change. They think it's going to be a factor in the 2020 election. Okay, what's the GOP's plan for climate change?
Okay, so again, climate change, we know the climate is changing to some degree. The Democrats try to make it cataclysmic. The biggest things in any climate change model would be the costs that you incur by trying to do some of the crazy stuff they're talking about. Our air and water quality has been improving since the 70s. There's room to go to still improve. We need to cite that probably the rest of the world, including the coal plants that might be going up elsewhere, China, India, that's where most of the marginal pollution is coming from. We shouldn't let up, but we've got to have enough sense to explain to the American public that the Green New Deal is not the answer. It would either double or triple the size of the federal government if you threw Medicare for all in with it. And we currently don't pay for 30% of the government that we use. So it's a fantasy plan, and we need to make sure we articulate it accordingly.
You know, Mr. Senator, you answer questions directly. You obviously haven't been in Congress for very long. But it's always a pleasure, sir, and I hope you can come back.
I'll keep it that way. Thank you.